lighthouse keeper hasn't left his tower in 30 years because something out there is still waiting for the door to open. On the northern coast, there's a lighthouse that hasn't worked in 30 years. Locals call it Widow's Point. They say the last keeper never left. He's still up there, still turning the light for something that's still out in the water. Sarah Mitchell was a marine biology student, spending her summer cataloging coastal wildlife. When a storm rolled in fast and cut off the road back to town, she had exactly one option: the old lighthouse. She climbed the hill through sheets of rain, hammered on the heavy iron door, and to her surprise, it opened. An old man stood in the doorway, gray beard, weathered face, eyes that seemed to look past her rather than at her. "Storm's bad tonight," he said. "You'd best come in." Sarah didn't have much choice. She stepped inside. The lighthouse was cold. Old maps covered the walls. A logbook sat open on a wooden desk, its pages filled with the same handwritten line over and over. "It comes back at high tide. Keep the light burning. Never let it go dark." Sarah asked him what it meant. The old man didn't answer right away. He just stared out at the black water. 30 years ago, he finally said, "This light went out for one night. Just one. My daughter went missing that same night. Never found her, never found anything." He looked at Sarah, and for the first time, his eyes actually focused on her. "The light stays on now, no matter what." Sarah tried to sleep on an old cot near the base of the tower, but the wind kept howling through the stone walls. And underneath it, she swore she heard something else, a sound like knocking, slow, deliberate, coming from below. She sat up. The old man was gone. Probably up in the light room, she told herself. She grabbed a flashlight and made her way down a narrow spiral staircase toward the sound. The knocking grew louder the further down she went. At the bottom, she found a heavy door, bolted shut with 3 separate locks. Water was seeping in beneath it. Seawater, she realized, even though the lighthouse stood well above the tide line. The knocking stopped. Then a voice, small, a child's voice, barely audible through the door. "Please, let me in. It's cold out here." Sarah froze. "Hello?" she called out. "Is someone there?" "I've been waiting so long," the voice whispered. "Open the door." Sarah reached for the first bolt, and a hand grabbed her wrist. The old man. His face was pale, urgent. "Don't," he said. "That's not a child. That door doesn't open. Not ever." "But I heard." "I know what you heard." His grip tightened. It knows what to sound like. It's learned, over 30 years, exactly what will make someone open that door. Back upstairs, the old man explained, his voice shaking. 30 years ago, his daughter had wandered down to the rocks during a storm just like this one. Something had pulled her under. He never saw a body. He never got closure. But 2 nights later, he heard her voice outside the lighthouse, calling for him, begging him to let her in. He'd almost opened the door. Something stopped him. Some instinct, some warning in the back of his mind, and through the small window, just for a second, the storm lightning had lit up what was actually standing there. It wasn't his daughter. It only wore her voice like a mask. "It comes back every year. On the anniversary," he said. "It tries the door. It tries new voices. Tonight, it might try yours." As if on cue, the knocking started again, this time from the front door. Slow, patient. Then Sarah's own voice came from outside. Her own voice, perfectly copied, calling for help. "Please, it's freezing. Let me back in. I only stepped out for a second." Sarah's blood ran cold. She was standing right there, Whatever was outside had heard her speak for less than a minute, and it already had her voice exactly right. The old man grabbed an old brass key and moved toward the spiral stairs leading up to the light room. "The light," he said. "As long as the light turns, it can't come past the rocks. It's been trying to get someone to open a door for 30 years. Tonight, we keep it turning." They climbed together, the wooden stairs groaning under their weight, the voice below growing more desperate, shifting between Sarah's voice, then a child's, then something that wasn't a voice at all anymore, just a wet, clicking sound, like something trying to remember how to speak. At the top, the great lamp sat dark and still. The old man began cranking the mechanism by hand. Gears shrieked. Slowly, the light flickered and came alive, sweeping its beam out across the churning black water. For a moment, the beam caught something out past the rocks, something large, something with too many limbs, moving just beneath the surface, retreating from the light. Then it was gone. Silence, just wind and rain. By morning, the storm had cleared. Sarah walked out onto the rocks, sunlight breaking over the water for the first time in what felt like days. She thanked the old man and made her way back toward the road, relieved to be leaving. Halfway down the hill, she turned back for one last look at the lighthouse. The old man was still in the doorway, watching her go, and standing right beside him, close enough to be touching his shoulder, was a young girl in an old-fashioned dress, smiling. Sarah blinked, and when she looked again, the doorway was empty.